Welcome, my friends. Almost all clothing eventually ends up in a landfill, not only giving the fashion industry a difficult waste problem but also a carbon footprint issue. Recycling efforts so far have not made much of a dent, due to the fact that most garments are made with a blend of textiles hard to recycle. But that challenge has created a new industry for recycling-focused startups, attracting interest from companies like Levi's, Adidas and Zara. What does it mean for the economy? And what does it mean for the future of the United States? But before we get into all of that, please press the like button and leave us a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. And before we continue, a word from the sponsor of this video. Today's sponsor is InnerLife.com, creator of the InnerLife STS system. InnerLife STS is a cloud mobile platform for mental health care and its integration with primary medical care. InnerLife STS is designed for assessment, data collection and analytics, documentation, and progress tracking. InnerLife STS creates and composes conceptualized narratives and builds them into professional-grade reports. These reports are designed for use by mental health professionals, primary care physicians, justice system professionals and universities and include mental health assessment reports, mental health treatment reports, and treatment progress reports. And InnerLife STS uses doctor-selected pseudonames for all patients. So, only the doctor knows the patient identity. The recycling idea at Levi's, Adidas, Zara to stop trillions in fast fashion from going to waste. The fashion industry has a very well-known waste problem. Does that mean recycling is fake? No, recycling is not fake. Recycling is a legitimate and widely practiced method of reusing materials to conserve resources, reduce waste, and minimize the environmental impact of human activities. The basic concept of recycling involves collecting waste materials, such as paper, plastic, glass, and metal, and processing them into new products or raw materials that can be used again. Recycling helps to conserve natural resources by reducing the need for extracting and processing virgin materials. It also helps to reduce the amount of waste sent to landfills or incinerators, which can have harmful effects on the environment and human health. Nevertheless, roughly 97% of clothing eventually ends up in a landfill, according to McKinsey, and it doesn't take very long for the life cycle of the latest apparel to reach its end. 60% of clothing manufactured hits a landfill within 12 months of its manufacturing date. In the last 2 decades, that concerning trend in clothing production has accelerated enormously with the rise of fast fashion, multinational production, and the introduction of cheaper plastic fibers. The multi-trillion-dollar fashion industry contributes significant greenhouse gas emissions, between 8% to 10% of total global emissions, according to the United Nations. That is more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. And as other industries make progress on carbon reduction solutions, fashion's carbon footprint is forecast to grow. It is predicted to account for over 25% of the world's global carbon budget by 2050. The apparel industry wants to be taken seriously when it comes to recycling, but even the simplest solutions haven't worked. According to sustainability experts, as much as 80% of Goodwill clothing ends up going to Africa because the US secondhand market can't absorb the inventory. So far, refashioning old clothing into new clothing has barely made a dent in the industry. Currently, less than 1% of textiles produced for clothing are recycled into new clothing, which comes at a cost of $100 billion a year in revenue opportunity, according to McKinsey's Sustainability. One big problem is the blending of textiles now common to the manufacturing process. With the majority of textiles in the fashion industry blended, it is harder to recycle one fiber without harming another. A typical sweater can contain multiple different types of fibers including a blend of cotton, cashmere, acrylic, nylon and spandex. None of the fibers can be recycled in the same pipeline, as has been economically done in the metals industry. You would have to decouple 5 intimately blended fibers and send them to 5 different recycling scenarios in order to recover most sweaters, said Paul Dillinger, head of global product innovation at Levi Strauss & Company. The complexity of the fashion recycling problem is behind new business models that have emerged at companies including Evernew, Renewcell, Spinnova, and Supercircle, and some big new commercial operations. Spinnova partnered with the world's largest pulp and paper company this year, Suzano, to turn wood and waste into recycled textile fiber. Increasing the textile-to-textile recycling rate is at the heart of the issue, said a Spinnova spokeswoman. There is very little economic incentive to collect, sort, shred, and bale textile waste, which are the first steps in the recycling loop, she said. Textile waste, by some measures, is a bigger issue than plastics waste, and it has a similar problem. Impact unfortunately costs money, and it's figuring out how to make that make business sense that's important, Spinova said. Levi Strauss is making progress in its attempt to fashion a circular economy with its iconic 501 blue jeans now made from 40% fiber from Renewcell and 60% organic cotton. And it's not just what you see on the outside of the jeans, Dillinger said. Adidas says it is on track to using only recycled polyester by the end of 2023, currently at 96%, which is a year ahead of its original goal. The share of recycled polyester worldwide, meanwhile, is currently at 15%, according to an Adidas spokeswoman, who said changes up and down the supply chain are critical to these goals being met. Are people going to meet us midway with their behavior, and then are regulations and infrastructure going to meet us to take that behavior across the line? I don't know. Flynn Textiles developed a textile recycling platform, New Cycle, that can transform discarded clothing into new fiber, and it says equal or outperform 90% of fibers, including cotton, nylon, and polyester, on cost and quality using existing textile supply chain equipment. Evernew's first big break was a partnership with Levi's to create the company's classic 511 jeans in 2016, and it has also launched pilots with Stella McCartney and Adidas. Zara has a stated goal of using only 100% organic cotton, recycled, or sustainable material fabrics in all of its clothing and 100% recycled polyester and organic linen by 2025. But it isn't yet clear how feasible that timeline is for any of the major brands. While there are numerous technological solutions to making clothing more sustainable, the technology does not yet match the scale and demand of the global fashion industry, a Zara spokesperson said. In order to solve the system problem, consumption needs to decrease, longevity of apparel needs to increase, reuse, repair, and product design needs to embrace sustainability, recyclable, designed for disassembly. Flynn wrote in an email. All of these run counter to the current fast fashion business model unless we can scale solutions. Heightened regulation in the EU has contributed to the acceleration of textile recycling business models. Consumers also need to look at how they're disposing of garments and making sure that's being done responsibly. It's kind of going back to the times when garments are treasured and not just tossed, Carey said. Renewcell's ambition is to recycle more than 1.4 billion t-shirts every year by 2030. Renewcell's technology has its own limitations, however, only able to recycle clothes that are made of cotton and up to 5% non-cotton material like polyester. Textile recycling companies like Renewcell, Evernew, Spinova, and SuperCircle view co-branding with major consumer companies as a key element to ensuring consumers understand the value of what they're buying and bolstering brand loyalty. Look for brands that have strategies around sustainability. I think being loyal to those brands is very important, Carey said. You can't look at recycling and think you're going to make $1 million recycling cotton t-shirts, because you're not, she said. However, it's important to note that recycling is not a perfect solution and has its limitations. Challenges such as contamination of recyclables, inefficient collection and sorting systems, and limited markets for recycled materials can affect the overall effectiveness of recycling programs. Additionally, not all materials are easily recyclable, and the process itself can consume energy and generate emissions. To make recycling more effective, it's crucial to focus on reducing waste generation, improving recycling infrastructure and technology, promoting consumer education and awareness, and supporting sustainable product design. There are several reasons why a relatively small percentage of waste is recycled. Lack of infrastructure. Insufficient recycling infrastructure, such as collection systems and recycling facilities, can limit the ability to recycle. In some areas, the infrastructure for recycling is not well developed or accessible, making it difficult for people to participate in recycling programs. Contamination. Contamination occurs when non-recyclable materials are mixed with recyclables, making them less valuable or even non-recyclable. Contamination can happen due to improper sorting at the source or during the collection and processing stages. Contaminated materials are often rejected by recycling facilities, leading to lower recycling rates. Lack of awareness and education. Many people are unaware of what can be recycled or how to properly prepare and sort recyclables. Insufficient education and outreach programs can result in low participation and ineffective recycling practices. Economic viability. Recycling is influenced by market forces. If the demand and value for recycled materials are low, it can be economically unfeasible for recycling companies to process and sell them. As a result, Some materials that could potentially be recycled end up being discarded. Complex and varied recycling systems. Recycling processes and regulations vary across regions, making it confusing for individuals to understand and comply with recycling guidelines. Inconsistencies in recycling programs can lead to inconsistencies in recycling rates. Limited incentives and policies. In some cases, the absence of financial incentives or strong government policies to promote recycling can discourage participation and investment in recycling infrastructure. Addressing these challenges requires a combination of improved infrastructure, better education and awareness campaigns, standardized recycling guidelines, strong policies, and market incentives to promote recycling and create a circular economy. It is a collective effort that involves individuals, communities, businesses, and governments working together to increase recycling rates and reduce waste. But, what do you think? Please leave us a comment below and hit the like button. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Please share this video on social media. Thank you for watching.